is a webminer from Cryptology. So my name is Ray. Together with me is Kevin. We're from Cryptology Exchange. So today we're going to talk about, the mass adoption for blockchain, what's the problem, and what we see, the future trend and what we should do. So just let's just get started then. So a little bit of introduction. So we are, who's Cryptology? Probably a lot of people are asking. So we are a future of crypto community exchange. We provide crypto to crypto service. We also provide crypto to fiat services. Our aim, our goal is really to provide an easy and affordable crypto exchange and to provide a cryptocurrency to fiat transactions. And currently, we're offering 0.02% transaction fees, and we're headquartered in Singapore. But of course, our operations covers global footprint, so we're embracing the users from all over the world. Okay. And our mission, so what we're trying to aim to achieve is to really lay a foundation for a future community governance exchange. This is our ultimate goal, and we hope to ride the same journey with you guys and with everybody that like us. So today, what we're going to talk about is, what's holding back the blockchain industry. What's the problem there, and what we see is going to be the future. And also, we're going to be talking about more of our exchange. And at the last part, we will be talking about, taking Q&As from the audience. Okay, so let's go straight into this. What's the problem now? What's holding the blockchain industry back? So what we believe, there are a couple of things that's currently holding us or the entire industry. The first one being, what we know, the blockchain Trilemma. So this is, all about getting a fine balance between scalability, the throughput, the security side, and also the decentralization. So as you probably already aware that there's always a problem in blockchain whereby you cannot have a very high scalability or throughput, and together with very secure mechanism, and yet you're getting a fully decentralized of your architecture or the blockchain service. So it's always hard to get all three or close to impossible. And this is kind of like the unbreakable, miserable spell from the industry that people are talking about every day. What's your take on this, Kevin?
Yes, right. So I fully agree with you, because at the moment, scalability, the technology that's giving to us today is operating as good as we are accepting it. But due to the fact, like for instance, a platform has 1 million users operating on a blockchain solution, this is pretty working fine. So we can actually operate on this system. But now when we are looking towards the future, we say this is a wonderful application solution. Now more and more people will join this application. So then we are talking about 3 million, 4 million, 5 million users at the same time, and the platform has not been improved towards scalability and throughput. So which means at the end, the entire blockchain solution will be decreasing in terms of speed. And therefore, the server might get slower. Security might be a big issue as well, due to the fact that you have to balance both. So therefore, the blockchain trilemma is really issue that holds blockchain back.
Yeah, from our perspective, we see a lot of projects on a daily basis. There's massive project developments going on almost every day. And one thing that we do realize, that which come to the second point, is that everyone is trying to do their own public chain, dApps or side chain, and what comes down to the fundamental of the program languages, the architectures, simply like the GitHubs, what we see is a massive non-standard codings or programming standard that's actually flying around all over the place. What it does is, what it causes is that in fact, when you review all the projects, when you look at the project code, you find, oh well, actually it's quite messy. It's massively non-standard. Different teams, different chains, when they look at each other, it's very hard to understand sometimes. So it's one of the things that also we believe is causing the problem right now. When it comes to a standardization of the codings.
Yes, that's what I agree with you, Ray. So basically here, when we are relying on smart contracts and dApps solution development, typically they are third-party solution that has been written on a particular blockchain. So due to the fact that it's not standardized like our internet protocol or other database common coding, that will always cause you friction, a solution that might not run properly or very well, and that's where it will lead to different loopholes where attacks can be happen. And especially here in this arena, we are talking about analog world, the user itself, towards the digital world where we are talking about blockchain and the smart contract coding.
Yeah, that's right. So just give us a second, guys. I think there's some problem with the slides. Are we how are we able to get the sorry, just bear with us for a few minutes, guys. We're trying to get the PowerPoints back up.
Okay.
All right, okay, cool. So let's continue. The third point that we want to actually highlight is that there's a ever since Bitcoin has been established, there's this concept called POW, proof of work. Basically, all the compute powers are trying to compete with each other and also try to run over massive puzzle resolved, and that is actually causing a lot of energy powers consumptions. And what we believe, it's actually not a health it's not a healthy sort of factors for the environment as well as the whole ecosystem. And there's a massive debate about whether the blockchain is actually doing the good or the bad for the environment, right? What do you?
Correct. And this is a similar case here in the hydrogen hybrid car evolution. Here we also said that hydrogen gas is pretty healthy for the environment if you use it on a daily basis to power up your car. But at the end, in order to create the hydrogen, you have to put more energy inside in order to get the advantage out of it. So therefore, from the environment perspective, it's not really very friendly. So that's the same as happening here with the blockchain solution. If you're going through the proof of work calculation and algorithm.
Yeah, sure. So the next point that we want to touch upon is really the government regulations. So as you can see, the current landscape, there are two things. One is about the blockchain technology itself. That another is towards cryptocurrency. I think it's very very common that we actually understand that from technology standpoint, all the government and regulations are actually embracing it. Everyone welcomes the technology. Everyone see the value of the technology. But in terms of cryptocurrency, or let's say Bitcoin or altcoins or cryptocurrency tradings and all that, each countries have different attitude. You know, there are countries that are actually welcoming it. For example, Australia, Malta. There are countries that are actually totally against it. Let's say China. So it seems that, you know, the current, because this is a current forefront of the whole industry development, the government are not really clear of what's going to come and what's the consequences if they really open it up. So the unclear of the government regulation actually is one of the key factors that's holding a lot of development back, you know, because of, you know, the hesitations, the unclear, you know, futures, as well as the potential impact to the country.
Yes,
Right.
yes. And how can we find a comparison here in this world? So as we look back, Internet of Things or smart cities, this is basically more or less a digital transformation where we would like to use technology in order to connect the two worlds together. So if we say the regulation has to adapt here as well, a basic simple example would be, if I want to buy real estate properties, how we are going to do that. So until today, by law, you have to go to a notary in order to sign the paperwork. So the regulation do not accept blockchain solution as it is nowadays. And therefore, the digital transformation has to be part of the government regulation daily work as well, if you want to proceed here.
Yeah, that's right. And one more thing that we see is that, you know, I'm pretty sure, like at the moment, people that are in the industry or either like cryptocurrency or like blockchain, there's majority of them are actually, you know, speculators. That's kind of like the fact. You know, there are massively, there are a lot of exchanges out there. People have so many ways of, you know, getting to the game, participating in that. But what we see is really there's a lot of short-term speculators. You know, whether the Bitcoin is going up or down, Ethereum is going up and down. What's the altcoin pricing on a daily basis? There's very, very limited or minimum amount of people actually care about the technology itself. Try to do something really, really, you know, true and concrete, and that is actually causing the whole industry be very, very, you know, basically chasing the money. You know, everyone's just looking at the price and just trade it. Even if it's a good project, good coin or good token, you will still see like a pump and dump activities all over the place. So that's actually creating a very bad impact to the industry, to the people who really want to develop the industry and technology. You know, that's kind of like the loopholes.
Right.
Okay. So we talked about this, what's holding us back, but then how do we turn something into really something concrete? You know, this really interesting topic. Now, what we believe is that, you know, at the current, because it's really early stage, we're actually seeing a lot of projects that's focused on infrastructures. So when we talk about infrastructures, you know, it's about the public chain. It's about, you know, how to improve the security, the you know, transaction throughput, the TPS, and also you know, how do we make sure that the fundamental public chains of different can actually interoperate with each other, cross-chain interoperability, and also, you know, are there any, you know, side chain that can solve the problem that the main chain cannot solve? Of course, one of the key thing is also distributed storage. You know, we are talking about a decentralized system and technology. It's not just about the computing power, but also how we store the data, where do we store it, and how do we read and write the data in a very effective manner.
Yes, okay. I fully agree with you, Ray. And maybe to add on some activities there or examples, public chain or cross operational activities. Here, basically, when you are talking about your application, your ICO project, you are creating your own ecosystem and your platform. But how does it really work in together? We have to think about collaboration. We have to think about cross-chain interoperation. One best example is everyone is holding their own wallet. Everyone is asking whether you would like to buy my tokens. Then you get additional rewards and services. But then if you go to another service because you like it very much, you have to do the same approach as well. So it's really not very efficient. So that makes to become big, to grow in a public chain, everyone has a silo solution that's very, very challenging. And if you are not able to distribute the solution across all storages, how you're going to leverage on the data and helping each other. So we have to think differently in this case, meaning if I owning my platform with my solution, I should be able to open to other people, not just because of the market share, because of the competition, but also that if they open their channel as well, you actually are attaching or grabbing a much bigger market and a pool where at the end, it's a win-win for everyone. So that is, I would think, one of the blockchain application that can turn it out into a big solution.
Yeah, and when it comes to the next point for regulation and compliance, I think right now because of the unclear framework, a lot of projects are doing they're clueless basically. There are products or projects that's coming up that potentially can actually violate some regulations. So right now there's a lot of work being done across different countries. The SEC is trying to come up with regulations for whether or not they're going to accept the ETF in future, what is going to be the framework for potentially doing security tokens. For MAS in Singapore, they're taking a very conservative step at the moment. There's a lot of talks and there's a lot of discussions, but it's still being a very neutral position at this point. We definitely would like to see what's going to come in the next couple of months. But all these things are actually, very, very key to contribute to a very solid business environment. So I think we talked about this earlier. It's not just about just a framework of steps and processes, but also from government perspective, you put up the penalties or all the consequences if you do things wrong. So those come all together as a very eco-friendly so-called environment for the entire industry, right?
Yes, correct. In a nutshell, just think about the football field or the soccer field is your framework. So certain regulation, certain things you can do, and if you do it wrongly, you will be penalized as well. So it must be in a balanced way, but nevertheless, the government should always think positive, think towards enhancement on improvements of the society.
Right. And I think most important is that with the framework, with the infrastructure ready, every project that's doing something need to really think about the real business meaning or real business logic behind it. I remember I was in one of the panels recently. So one topic is very interesting. In the late 2017 until pretty much now, every single industry, every single industry sectors that we can possibly see in the current estate has a project there, But let's be very, very upfront. Blockchain can solve a lot of problems, can improve a lot of current defects of the current economic system, but it's not for everything. It's not going to be able to change completely, dominant or change every single industry. And when you do a project, you're really going to think about what's the business logic. Is this something improving your current efficiency? Is this something really massively changing the whole business game? What's your tokenomics behind it? and what's the real benefit that you can provide to your community in the end.
Yes, correct. So in this case, I would say the meaningful business case here is you have to think about how you build an ecosystem for collaboration. So in this, what we want to say here is really, if you are building up a platform, do invite other people to join you. Do invite other application to help you as well to grow together. Because it is like in every organization, you implementing your ERP system, you're implementing your IT tools or analytics. But what does it mean at the end if nobody in your organization is using this tool? Because the habit is the same. They don't want to change the habit. They find every new innovative introduction, it's a complaint or it's a punishment because they will just disrupt the work. But if you are able to find a good solution that support them in their daily business and show them the efficiency altogether, that's where you will be successful. And without the community who accept that, without the employee accepting your product, you will never be able to success in this blockchain ecosystem.
Yeah, that's right. So we're back to the key thing or key topic of this afternoon. So we know the problem. We see how these things can be done to provide a concrete business case. So how we really see the industry be able to open for like mass adoption. In the end, regardless of what projects you're doing, any public chains or side chains you're doing, you need people to actually use it. This is a key to the success of almost every industry. You need to have users who actually accepting your product. So there are a couple of things we think is quite key for the mass adoption. We divide it into two pillars. One is retailers. Another is institution players. So retailers is like basically you and me, individual players. How we attract the user to actually understand this, willing to participate and start using this. Now, the first thing will be easy to use. Now, what we find, in the current states is that, you have a lot of products, great. But when you start to explain what is blockchain, what is distributed ledger, what is the encryption, SHA, 256, cold wallets, hot wallet, that's when the retailers start to shut them down. They will find it very difficult to understand. They don't know what's the technology behind it. So easy to use is the key to attract people, whether this is blockchain technology, the apps, or even cryptocurrencies. Right. Then the second point will be security. Blockchain by nature is secure, but however, not every applications are adapting the same level of security concerns that everyone else is doing. Typical example will be exchanges being hacked, at all times. There are hackings, happening almost every single moment. Success or not, the threat is always there. So let people or let the retailer to feel safe. It's gonna ensure or enhance their confidence of getting into the game. That's quite a key to the adoptions. The third point. Everyone is been hearing about Bitcoin since a few years ago, but again, if you go onto the street, you ask random people, they will still don't know what is Bitcoin. They probably heard about it, but they don't know what's blockchain, what's Bitcoin, what's cryptos. That all takes into consideration, like we need massive education effort to actually educate people, to tell people what is the technology behind it, what is the business and economic mindset behind this whole industry.
Yes, I fully agree with you, Ray. And for Ease of use, I fully understand your pinpoint because when I started 2.5 years ago to understand what is financial technology and inclusion, went through studies on a program. Education is very, very essential, but it's not easy to understand for everyone how the technology really works. So we have to have a lot of education until people feel confident and feel secured of using the solution. And security, it's all about security. We have it nowadays in the cybersecurity discussion, hacking, government trying to leak out information, hacking into information to use it for their advantages. Wallets are get stolen not because of the technology itself, but it's due to ourselves as a user. We do not have any precautions of safeguarding our keys, our laptop, or any access to our devices. And at the end, ease to use, I would think, is still one of the most critical part to being successful for mass adoption. Like for instance, if you're talking about a toothbrush, the traditional one, just a mechanical one, everyone knows how to use it. Then you are coming with all this new toothbrush with technology, pressure sensor measurement, then IoT can record all the information, pass it to the dentist, and then he can give you a lot of all these recommendations. It is sometimes oversized or overdone. Whether it makes at the end sense or not, it's another question. Whether you can be profitable or just make money out of it is also another discussion. So what I want to say here is really make it as simple as possible for user to understand that, and you might be already winning your community to join you by more than 50%.
Yeah, so and it comes to the community point, you know, the community. So blockchain is about consensus. Consensus is made through the community. Like it's not by individuals, it's not by individual institution or organization, it's by everyone. So the community build out is the key to the success of every single projects or the either be a chain or the apps into the blockchain. So let the community users make decision. Let them know your idea, heard your voice, agree with you, support you at all times. It's all about like wisdom of the crowd, right? So the more people coming to this in this game understand what you're doing, the more likelihood people is going to join you. That's the key, and that's actually our belief from Cryptology. We're always community-driven exchange. We heard the voice from the community. We always listen to their opinions, try to do things according to their will. So we do products that user wanted, and instead of the product that we want the user to use. So that's very different perspective. Now coming to institution players, I think that's a different bucket, right? So there are more serious players in the market, traditional fund, VCs, organizations, institutions, family offices. For them to come in, I don't think it's in terms of a quantity of their numbers, but the volume, the capitals that they're going to be putting into this industry is going to be massive. Like right now, we're talking about 200 billion US dollar for the entire crypto industry. But when the gate is open to the institution players, let them come in, that is going to be a massive change to the landscape. Now, how are we going to attract them? I think the first one will be legal framework, because they are the traditional players are all regulated by all different regulations across different government. If you want them to come, you better have a solid legal framework to protect them from being impacted.
Yes, correct. And this is also what I believe. In order to create a mass adoption, right now we can say we are in a honeymoon time. We are in the exploration time frame where everyone is trying to understand the technology and then come up with a new disruptive solution. But we should not forget that all these traditional companies, they exist for more than 10, 20, 25 years, 100 years as well. All these companies has done their businesses on the traditional way, and they are very, very successful. So here, these people will not scrutinize their business model or just by onboarding themselves into blockchain. So first part is, do I need really blockchain in my solution? So this is one part that they have to overcome. We see there's a lot of finance product, energy, supply chain management, health data storage, many variety of industries joining that platform. By the end, blockchain cannot help you to create a new payment device. Blockchain is not able to bring you food. Blockchain is not able to design a chip or a car for you. So therefore, it is always having its limitation. And with that said, we have to make sure that blockchain is part of the institutional framework. So meaning in this case, it should be think like a product that improve the productivity and the efficiency of these multinational companies. And how to do that in terms of issues, in terms of challenges, here we have to think about how to protect them. And that's where we come also to the second point where we believe it's very essential for institutions, namely the custodian. So imagine you are parking the money there. You are not an individual, but you are a multi-billion-dollar company that store and transact hundreds of millions of dollars on a daily basis. So if anything happens, your dollar or your money is completely gone. This is impossible. And you cannot have only one person be able to manage all the financial activities. You need to have multiple access custodian to access the money to allow them to transact on behalf of the organization. So therefore, this is very, very important in order to get the mass adoption out for institutions.
Yeah, totally agree. Okay, so I think that's pretty much that we want to cover for the mass adoption. I think before we open to Q&As, just a quick quick introduction of us. Now we talked about mass adoptions. We talked about how to make the industry easy to use. So what we do, what can Cryptology do? So we are by far the most easiest platform that can be used. We have applications on the mobile, iOS, Android. We have easy, simplified web version for users. In terms of the security, we store 98% of our funds into multi-signature code wallets. Only 2% is online. So in the unlikely event of hacking, we always have also the funds that's at the back of our safeguard to actually protect the users. It's easy to use, easy transaction. We can if you download our applications or access our website, you will be able to see there's not many complicated functions or buttons. It's buy and sell, and it's very simple to use. Compared to other exchanges, our transaction fee are actually just 1/10 of the other major exchanges. There is zero depositing, and it's competitive trading commissions. Currently, we're keeping at 0.02. We have support bank card deposits. The platform is very friendly to use, and there's no extra training is required. And we just launched our margin trading yesterday. So if you're interested, please log on to our website at the bottom of the slides. Just check it out. In terms of community, we are a community-driven exchange. We are whatever we're doing is for the community. We hear the voice from the community. We ask advice and suggestion from the community as well, in order to provide better service. Okay, so we have very stringent AML policies and also KYC policies. We follow the most stringent procedures There are 3 layers of verification. Until you hit the top layer of verification, that's where you can have a better, transaction limit in terms of fiat. We're fully comply with GDPR, which is equivalent to PDPA in Singapore as well. And in terms of security, like I mentioned before, we are 98% of our digital asset is actually put in the cold wallet. We are fully comply with the security standard in terms of safeguarding the digital assets. Currently we're at FIPS public 140-2 level 3. So this is the same security level that every major investment banks and retailer banks are currently using when it comes to the encryption. Again, we support hot wallet, and also in terms of fiat, we segregate accounts and legally distinct from the business to and operating accounts. And when it comes to the hot wallet, even the hot wallet is actually fully protected using the HSMs in the cloud. So we're fully comply with the top security level that other exchanges are able to achieve. Trading fees almost close to 0, although it's not 0 yet, but it's close to 0. It's 0.02, and also a lot of projects, if you're interested in listing on us, it's absolutely 0 listing fee, and we're turning around very quick. We can for major ERC20s, we're able to list it within 4 business days. Okay, so in the near future, like I mentioned, we are a community-driven exchange. In the near future, we're going to set up the model whereby the community is govern the whole exchange operation. So the rules, the how it's been governed, is completely going to be by the community. We're going to have a very interesting mechanism launching in the due course. So stay alert and stay tuned.
Yes, exactly. So there's more to come from Cryptology. Please stay tuned. Follow us in our community in Twitter, Telegram, and Facebook. So there are constantly news coming up from us in the next couple of weeks.
Yes. And with that, that closes our presentation today. It's a big thank you to spend your time with us this afternoon. Again, this is QR code for our Telegram group. Please feel free to join us and get the latest updates and the benefit out of it. We will continuously pushing out a lot of exciting news over there. So with that said, we'd like to actually open up for a Q&A. If you have questions you want to ask us, please put in the chat. We will pick it up from there.
Answer you.
Yeah.
Immediately. Okay.
Let's see if there's any questions.
Wow, we have members from all the way from Mexico. Welcome. All right.
Oh, so sorry. I think the slides actually stuck at what is. Oh, okay. Sorry, guys. I think we didn't realize that. Okay. Let me see. Okay, yeah. I think that's the. Yep, and then we just do the full screen.
No, it's also not updated.
Yeah.
It's not updating?
No. Not yet. All right.
Okay. Well, do we have any questions coming in?
Nope. Looks like no.
Like we have no questions.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, I think that's pretty much it. So again, thanks everyone to stay with us for this afternoon. We will keep on doing series of broadcasts and webinars in the coming future. We'd like to actually get more feedbacks from you as well. Do join us in the Telegram group and provide us with the feedbacks, and we're happy to assist you there. And on the other screen, this is our Crypto Dino.
Yes.
Good to have him with us today as well. All right, with that said, thanks everyone for joining us, and have a good day ahead.
Yes. Looking forward to hear from yours, and do drop us all your questions into our Telegram chat. We will get back to you. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.